1 week from now, it's going to start a new league, 321 Crucible, and I want to talk to you about making currency and having a smoother league start. My focus is not to show you tips and tricks how to progress your Atlas fast or how to level up super fast to work towards your completion, but to make currency. So this is for the people that are interested in how to league start very smoothly and to have to make a bunch of currencies very early. Now, I'm not the best player in Path of Exile. I usually tend to get a mage blood by day 4, day 5. It depends on um, if I'm investing in my character or not. And in my opinion, um, it's not worth to get your mage blood super early, meaning day 3 or day 4, because you don't invest in your character because you're going to lack the currency. And then when you invest in your character, um, the prices of the item are going to be much more expensive. So that's why I tend to get the mage blood by the end of day 4 or day 5, something like that. Because tend to invest a lot in my character early on because it's much cheaper and much easier to craft in the first 2 or 3 days. Anyway, so let's start with the first tip. So basically, if you are interested in league starting, you need to have trade filters. And what I mean by that, let's just say we have a ring, and let's just say that it has resistances. Um, Total resistance is 160, and it has some life. Total maximum life. Let's just say that it has 45 life. As you can see, such a ring like this is going to be 50 chaos. 50 chaos, 60, 80 chaos, 100. It depends. Whatever. However, you can go around this. You can make a trade filter that doesn't search for a ring like this because this is obviously going to be expensive, right? What you can do, you can make a ring that has total elemental resistances of 160. I mean total resistances. And then you can make a count, and this can be from 1 to, I guess 1 is enough, and you create. Um, needs to have empty prefix or crafted prefix modifier. So now when you search a ring, you can see it's still expensive, but you can find one at 15 chaos. These are still around 50, but you can find one at 15 chaos. And if you were to take this, there's actually not much you can do about it because it has this life on it. But one thing that you could do with this ring, for example, would be to get the beast that gives you meta mod. It depends on how expensive it's going to be. You can buy the beast with the meta mod, and the craft suffixes cannot be changed. If you pay like day one, if you pay 10 kills for that beast, you can buy that beast because early on nobody is going to use meta mods, right? So it's going to be very cheap early on. So you can put that beast on this ring. It's going to give you suffixes cannot be changed, and then you go harvest, reforge life, and then craft life. Another thing would be like you make it 155, for example. And now at 155, you see there are many results. You go to this ring. This is not good because it has life and mana. This also has life. This is perfect. So you pay 5 chaos for this ring. It has a total of 155 total elemental resistances, and you can craft life on it. And if you want, you can also use an exalt on it. So that's pretty much how you get very good rings. So basically, if you take this ring, you can craft up to 50 maximum life, and the cheapest item uh, would be around the 30 chaos, as you can see right here. So you just made around 25 chaos profit, maybe 20, 23, 22. because the craft is also somewhat expensive. Or another thing you could do, you could put total resistances not 155. You can put let's just say 125. It needs to have life, and you can put an empty suffix or crafted suffix. Empty suffix or crafted suffix. You search for this ring, um, and you're looking for one that you can craft a resistance. Now, this right here, and you can also add a note, and you can put uh, crafted prefix. And if you put it like this, it will not show you any crafted anyone with crafted prefix, so that you know it's natural. It's normal life is not crafted from the bench. And you're looking for a good bargain right here. There's not much, as you can see. Everyone here it's crafted, but look, for example, this one right here. This is a good example. On this you can craft another resistance. It has 57 life. Once again, a ring similar to this is going to be 30 chaos. The cheapest one is going to be 30 chaos. And some of these rings are going to have chaos resistance because you put here total resistances instead of total elemental resistances. You can do, you can get creative with this, but basically you need to know where your build is going, what is going to need. You need to be aware of the progression, and you need to have trait filters. You can also do a bunch of trait filters like crafting bases. You can do uh, for example, unique items like the forbidden jewels. Also, like the jewels with very good rolls, uniques with max rolls and stuff like that. You can have those trade filters made before the league start, and you just click this button right here. You bookmark them, and if you want to search them, you can just click it and go to that site, to that trade filter, and just hit search. And this is pretty much how you do it. This was one example. Obviously, you can make a much worse ring that is going to be sufficient after you finish the campaign, or while you are in the campaign, if you have 1 or 2 3 chaos. Um, Another thing would be like, for example, this is a ring, a shield that it's very strong. Like um, for my build, for my cold dot, I tend to have a shield similar to this with a lot of life, some increased spell damage, cold damage, and some to be able to craft it. Like, for example, let's just assume that this shield right here was not corrupted, right? So if there was a shield like this available for 5, 10, 20 chaos, uh, let's just see, like the cheapest one not corrupted would be this one right here. And you can all and the way you would craft that shield would be create new items. I give you an example real quick. So let's just say that it has this amount of spell damage. You make it rare. You give it maximum life. It has like this maximum life. Uh, let's just show you. Let's take this shield for example. So now it has 2 suffixes. The idea is to have one empty prefix. So now it has. You would use the bench crafted modifier like no, you would first craft a prefix, any prefix, it doesn't matter. Then you would exalt slam it until you have one empty suffix only. So after you have only one empty suffix, you would go to the suffix benchmark, and you would go prefixes cannot be changed. Then you would use harvest, add, remove, cold, Now you have this shield with a lot of spell damage, a lot of life, +1 cold spell skill gems, which is good for Vortex. Now, in this case, because I have a very shit uh, suffix, I would go and use uh, a Veiled Chaos Orb, and now it gives me some resistances, and here I would craft something. I don't know exactly what to craft because I need to use Craft of Exile to know exactly what to put. But probably I would just craft some spell suppression or something like that. I don't know. Some resistance. I don't even know what exactly I need to craft so that I get increased effect of curses, and then I can put the resistances, put strength, put something like that. And this is a shield. Basically, if you find a shield like this, all you paid was 2 divines, 20, 30, 20 chaos for the base, 2 divines the for the craft of prefixes cannot be changed, and then the harvest, which are are going to be very cheap at the beginning of the league. And this shield right here can last you till the end game until you make a perfect shield. Uh, Another thing would be to just make an search for crafting bases. Like for example, this was a crafting base that uh, I would buy if it was not available a much better one, like fractured cold damage or fractured spell damage. So ideally you would have this base, and let's just see how expensive this one. Now this one is going to be 100 chaos, but if you put like, let's just say 80, because 80 is still good enough, you'd pay 25 chaos, maybe 30 chaos. Those are corrupted, 50 chaos. Um, this one at 25 chaos is a good bargain, even though it has minion dealing increased damage. Probably the best one would be this one at 70 chaos, but still, it depends on also. You need to know what you're looking for and how to craft it, right? So this is the power of making trade filters. Um, I'm not going to sit here and give you all the trade filters because it depends on your build. It depends on how you plan to craft. There's a bunch of trade filters you can make, but the idea is to make them in advance and bookmark the trade filters. Like for example, I can make trade filters for logbooks, whatever. You can make for crafting bases so that you buy cheap crafting bases like a wand with +1 fracture, +1 to all spell skill gems fracture. You can buy it for like 50 to 1 divine, 50 chaos to 1 divine early in the league, meaning day 1, probably beginning of day 2, and all sorts of things. Uh, but the idea is to pre-plan it and make the trade filters and bookmark them. And you are probably going to make like 15, 20, maybe 30 bookmarks, and you just open the browser and hit the bookmark, and there's your trade filter. You immediately search. Another thing would be to not uh, not complete the atlas. Like for example, in my case, to make currency, um, as soon as there are good logbooks on the market, even if they are like item level 40 and I pay for them 7 chaos or 10 chaos, I still buy them. And if they are good enough with good implicits, I buy them immediately and I run them, and I make a bunch of profit doing that. You don't, you have to complete the campaign, um, but basically you don't really have to progress your maps. Sometimes I would progress my maps because there are not enough logbooks on the market. Uh, but basically, the when I'm not running logbooks and I'm completing maps, I usually do that until level 80 or 80 something, 82, 83, until I have enough skill points, and hopefully by that time there are enough logbooks on the market that I can run to make profit. And the idea is your priority should not be to progress your atlas or to run maps, because they're very slow. They will slow you down, and they're not really profitable, to be honest. It's been I don't think there's ever been a league where The league mechanic was very rewarding straight from the get-go. Um, so that's why I recommend you to stick with um, farming methods that are known to be profitable. Like for example, I really prefer logbooks because you can do them very early on. Like even before you finish the campaign, you can run logbooks and they are very profitable. Even with running level 40 logbooks, you can still make around 2 to 3 divines per hour, which is nice considering you didn't even finish the campaign and you can make that amount of money that early. Um, so basically, that second tip would be to just ignore progressing your atlas and focus on a strategy that yields you currency if you want to get very far ahead in the league very early on. How I would progress would be finish the campaign, have a trade filter for logbooks, level 40 or something, that have very good implicits, buy the logbooks, run the logbooks, make profit. If there are no logbooks, I do some maps. Meanwhile, I'm waiting with my active live search for a logbook to appear. Whenever that logbook appears, I go buy it and run them. I'm trying to progress my logbooks as fast as possible to get to item level 83 logbooks, but they are very rare. They don't really exist on the market, so that's one thing to keep in mind. Since they don't exist on the market, you are stuck with low level ones, and sometimes you have no option but to run maps because there's nothing else to do in that time. And the third thing would be crafting. Um, Crafting for yourself, it's very good, especially day 2 and day 3, and a lot of people uh, either are not aware of this or they don't have the currency, they don't have access to crafting early in the league. But basically what happens is fossils old very cheap, resonators are extremely cheap. You buy like 3 or 4 resonators for 1 chaos, which is extremely cheap considering that at the end of day 1 the divine is going to be probably 120 chaos, something like that. um, the ageling is also very cheap. Uh, the harvest seeds are also very cheap. So uh, you have to make trade filters for endgame crafts. Like for example, the one that I showed you with the shield. Um, I'll show you again like this. So this is the shield, and let's just say that you have this shield and it's not corrupted, and you buy it. For example, you pay 1 divine for the base or 2 divines, something like that. Maybe you buy one with 80%, uh, with 80% uh, spell damage or cold damage, and you pay 50 cures or 1 divine. It's still good enough because you can achieve this type of shield, and instead of increased effect of curses, you can let's show you real quick how to craft it. um, so let's just say that this is your base and you fracture it, and this is the best base you can buy, and you can buy it for very cheap because nobody is going to craft such shields early on. What you would do, go to essences, um, and you would add the essence of increased maximum life, like this one. So you would put this essence. Um, let's just show you. I think it's create. So it's this essence. So you would spam this until you get. This would be the perfect outcome. You have 2 suffixes and an empty prefix, or you can spam it until you get a very good suffix. Like for example, this right here, 2 maximum cold resistance, or even 3% maximum cold resistance, or for example, chance to block spell damage would be also a great one. Uh, you would after this go with you need an empty prefix. You craft Uh, since it already has two suffixes, there's no need to craft a prefix, and the exalt slam you just go and craft. Prefixes cannot be changed. You once again go to harvest, you augment cold, it has +1 cold. Now it bricked the chance to block spell damage, but in case it doesn't break it, like for example in this case, you would just use once again you would go to suffixes, prefixes cannot be changed, and here you would go for Aisling, and you would go Aisling Veil, and now it uh, you unveil it and you have this shield right here. Like for example, this would be also a great shield. Now ideally you'd have it to remove the life, and now the regenerate life, and now you can craft something else to guarantee that you will unveil increase effect of curses. It's pretty much 70% chance to give you increase effect of curses, and now you'd craft spell suppression or a resistance or something like that. And this type of shield, it's super good. And Aisling, it's going to be extremely cheap, like 10, 15, 20 chaos. The seeds are nothing. You can literally buy the seeds for peanuts. The same goes for the blossom. So that's my third tip, would be to just make sure you have trade filters in place. Like for example, you can search for a wand with uh, fractured to level of all spell skill gems, like a wand like this, and that needs to be not non-mirrored, obviously non-corrupted, and you would search for a wand like this. As you can see, these ones are very expensive, but early in the league you can buy base like this for like 100 chaos, 1 divine, 2 divines, something like that. Even if you pay 3 divines, is extremely worth it to buy one like this. And what you could do with a one like that would be, um, I'll give you another example of how you would craft it. 100 weapons, a wand. It doesn't matter the implicit because now they changed the wand, at least for the cold dot, it doesn't really matter. So you'd have this. Uh, this would be fractured. Basically, you would use essences, make this rare. You would use essence of woe because this gives increased spell damage, and you would spam increased spell damage until it gives you +1 to level of all cold spell skill gems. It's about 100 essences you use to, maybe 200 if you're unlucky. And then if you have one empty suffix, you would just craft suffixes cannot be changed. Uh, prefixes cannot be changed. Uh, Prefixes cannot be changed like this, and then you would either use H-link, but um, since you already have two suffixes, you'd use Veiled Chaos Orb and hope that like this, and hope that it still gives you one empty suffix. Then you would look what to block until you maybe get a cold damage over time multiplier. Now, uh, obviously, you need to craft something to make sure that your chance of getting cold damage over time multiplier is much greater. Um, but I don't have the open craft of Exile with the exact values to tell you exactly what to block, but you get the idea. And you do this until you get cold damage over time multiplier or whatever you need for your build, like this, for example, and then you craft something else. You craft, like, I don't know, increased. You go to the bench and you craft increased cold damage, and you can put like this. And this is a very good one. Probably going to sell for about 30 to 40 divines. And but you can craft it. You can craft it by yourself, very cheap. And but this is only if you do this it early on and you have trade filters. So this is basically, these are my tips on how to have a very good league start. I hope you have good luck with it, and you make a lot of currency. Good luck.